What is going on, guys? Today is June 18th, 2019. I'm coming to you guys to talk about Facebook's new launch of their Libra coin. Now, I've been wanting to make this video since I heard about the Libra coin, since details started leaking about what it was going to be about, but I really wanted to see kind of at least a full scale of the project before I kind of put my 2 cents on it. Now, they launched like their white paper and they put out everything as of yesterday. I had the opportunity to read through it. I had the opportunity to read multiple articles, about 15 articles on the subject. Looked at some commentaries from like some bigger news outlets. And guys, this is big. And I don't mean big necessarily in a good way. Facebook has over 2.4 billion users worldwide. As you guys know, they've recently gotten some hot water about their privacy concerns as well as their general kind of monopoly that they appear to be building. They will also be launching the Libra wallet. This is the wallet function for Libra. This will be integrated into WhatsApp, into Messenger, and into many other functions of Facebook. And finally, this is run by a nonprofit foundation that is located in Geneva, Switzerland. And Libra has the most massive corporate partners I've ever seen for a currency. I mean, you're talking about Uber, Lyft, eBay, Visa, MasterCard, and 27 other partners right now. They also alluded to the fact that they will have over 100 before the cryptocurrency actually launches. And for a project that talks about including the many, this is essentially run by the biggest corporate partners in the world, massive Fortune 500 companies that are honestly in there to make a profit. And I have no issue with companies going for a profit, but these are very centralized institutions. This is not what cryptocurrency is about. You're basically talking about like Lex Luthor and the Legion of Doom.
The meeting will come to order. The Legion of Doom is now in session. It is the purpose of the Legion to align our infamous forces against the powers of good and defeat them.
Now, just getting into the white paper, one of the first things it mentions is that the reason they created the Libra is due to the volatility in cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and how they show as a poor store of value. This is hilarious when you look at just the all-time lows on a yearly basis for Bitcoin, which you can see in this chart here. This is an insane concept. The fact that they would put this in their white paper, I think shows how little either they know about cryptocurrency or how much they're trying to hide about how powerful a cryptocurrency like Bitcoin is. Whereas if you look at, say, the purchasing power of the US Federal Reserve dollar, which you can see here, it's lost over 98% of its purchasing power since its inception. Now, for those of you guys who don't know, the Libra is going to be backed, that's in quotations again, by a basket of currencies. These currencies are going to be the United States dollar, the Japanese yen, the British pound, and the euro. Essentially, it's a currency that's kind of based on the concept that the IMF or International Monetary Fund came up with years ago called the SDR or Special Drawing Rights. They're using a basket of currencies as a function, and so I think Facebook kind of picked up on that and said, okay, well, we're going to use a basket of currencies. That way it's not just pegged to the US dollar like USDC or Tether. Now, going a little deeper into the backing of the Libra is kind of a hilarious concept because actually you'll see, as a CNBC commentator spoke about yesterday, they said that the Libra is backed up by real money as opposed to Bitcoin, which is backed up by nothing. You have to check this out here.
And unlike Bitcoin, Libra, this digital currency, will be backed by real money.
Now, what's amazing about this commentator from CNBC saying that the Libra is backed up by real money, it's backed up by 4 fiat currencies. For those of you who don't know, fiat means that it has no intrinsic value. It's a fugazi. What's Matthew McConaughey say?
It's all a fugazi. You know what a fugazi is?
No, fugazi. It's fake.
Yeah, fugazi. It's a wazi. It's a woozy. It's a fairy dust. It doesn't exist. It's never landed. It is no matter. It's not on the elemental chart. It's not fucking real.
Essentially, fiat is just government regulated money. It has value because the government says you have to accept this. Here, take it. That's the only value that fiat has, is the faith that people give it. And that's their faith in their own governments. Also in the white paper, it talks about being decentralized, which is hilarious when you think of the corporate partners it has. It claims to be run by a foundation, which is supposed to make it more decentralized. This is obviously nonsense. These are the biggest companies in the world. You have Facebook being one of the largest data harvesters of all time. This is not to bank the unbanked. This is not to take care of the world. This is fiat 2.0. This is a secondary derivative of fiat. This is, hey, let's make fiat faster, which in and of itself is not a terrible idea, but they're not solving any of the problems that they claim to be going out there for. This is not going to help people who do not have access to financial institutions the ability to get into them. You have to have these basket of currencies in order to participate in the Libra. You would also have to use this centralized institution in which they could simply turn off your Calibra wallet and you have no more access to any financial institution. Whereas with Bitcoin, they have no ability to take that away from you. Anyone can log on to the internet anywhere in the world and use a Bitcoin wallet to transact in the financial industries. This is why Bitcoin is different. This is why Bitcoin is decentralized. Next, I've really gotten into some deep research as to why it's possible that the Libra never gets off the ground. Some proponents even give it a coin flip 50-50 if it'll really ever launch worldwide. And this is for a number of reasons. The first of all being regulation. So Libra already has a FinCEN license, which you'd think all good, right? Except in the United States, they probably also have to deal with the Treasury, the SEC, the IRS, and the CFTC, just to name a few, not to mention state regulators. On top of that, Facebook has already been under a lot of scrutiny for essentially monopolizing data in the United States. So when you see them entering a financial industry, I think that only gives more credence to the fact that the Department of Justice's antitrust task force would be coming down on them a lot harder. And I think once again, a centralized project like this is so much subject to what governments want to do. As you can see, there are government bodies that immediately came out, including the US Senate and the ECB, that both came out essentially against the cryptocurrency or that they needed to halt the currency so that they could figure out more regulation around it. Even one of the French central bank heads coming out and saying that they have no right to create a sovereign currency. We won't let them do it. We must not let them do it. What that person may have forgot to mention is that Bitcoin already exists. We already have a sovereign currency that is outside of government control. Also, another part when they talk about the Libra as a store of value, if you think about the currencies that it's backed by, in a big market shift, especially in the West, which would affect all of the currencies that it's backed up by, that would create a massive downturn in the purchasing power of the Libra. That's the type of stuff you need to look at. Not whether you can spend Libra on eBay. Because the truth is, as this national debt, world debt continues to spiral out of control, only things that have real value that people really believe in are going to keep any type of purchasing power. You need to look at the bigger picture before you just jump into something that appears like popular or bandwagon-y. And another roadblock to Libra becoming a global currency is the fact that it left out some of the biggest players in the world. You're talking BRICS nations such as Russia and China. They're not a part of the basket. Their currencies didn't make it in, and because it just shows another level of centralization for the fact that the Libra is only using essentially what are very, very strong US allied, US industrial hegemony. That's what they seem to be supporting. That's what the basket of currencies is in there for. So they happen to leave them out of the equation. That's not going to sit well with those countries. And I think in turn, you're going to see big regulation against the Libra in those countries. This is once again another proponent of why Bitcoin is much better. Governments could come out and say, hey, we don't like that, stop it. And the only ability they have to enforce that is at gunpoint. It's not an ability for them to shut down the network because it's truly decentralized. Whereas if Russia comes out or China comes out and says, hey, we don't like this, you can't do this, Facebook is going to bend to that. They're going to bend to that will. They're going to put pressure on Calibra or the Calibra Foundation or the lovely Swiss people who are just neutral and they're on nobody's team. I guarantee you they will bend to that will. And finally, I want to touch on the fact that some people and some proponents out there are talking about Libra being a Bitcoin killer. This is hilarious, and obviously from people who really don't understand what Bitcoin is. The only thing that Libra is really competing with is going to be central banking itself, as if you think about the 2% inflation rate that they try to hit on an annual basis, if the Libra is using a basket of currencies and can beat that 2% inflation, it becomes a more attractive asset than those central native currencies. So what's hilarious about that is it can actually compete with the same basket that it happens to be backed by. Another aspect of this, which I think some people might be missing out there, is that the only cryptocurrencies this is really going to affect are very centralized cryptocurrencies like Ripple or other stable coins like Tether or USDC. That's the only currencies that this is going to affect. That's the only killer that Libra can be. And in conclusion, I would just say, don't waste your time. Bitcoin is just better in every possible way than this nonsense Fiat 2.0 system that Facebook has come out with. If you want true decentralization, if you want real freedom, if you want to really help the unbanked, that's Bitcoin. That's other truly decentralized cryptocurrencies. And in my opinion, Libra is just more of the same. If you want change, if you want a real future, if you want real financial power, that's Bitcoin. And I'm done. One last thing, make this video go viral. People need to know what Libra really is, why it's not a real cryptocurrency, why it doesn't really change anything, and why Bitcoin is truly the currency of the future. So like, comment, share this thing on every single social media platform. Let's make it go viral. Let's talk about Bitcoin.